Welcome to our fourth workshop of 7 for the DeviceAlliance 2021 Career Development Training Program. Today, we have Greg Johnson leading us through personal branding and effective use of LinkedIn. Greg Johnson from Above the Rim Executive Coaching is an executive coach. He helps with career management and is a LinkedIn evangelist. I always butcher my words in the morning. I apologize. And he's been in the career development industry for many, many years, about 10 plus years with Above the Rim and even more, working prior. In a previous life, he worked in marketing and operation, education, and business management. So he's really seen sort of the scope of how to behave in a professional setting, how to translate that from academia to industry. And so we're here to really just absorb and listen to what he has and see what we can learn. Thank you so much for joining us today, Greg.
Thank you very much, Joanna. And don't worry about butchering words. I don't butcher words just in the morning. I butcher words throughout the day. So it was really funny. In one of my workshops, I was talking about people needing to take the time to do things outside of their daily grind to decompress. And instead of the word decompress coming up, the word decompose came out. Now, granted, we don't want to be decomposing in our daily lives. If you are, that is a challenge. But you do want to take time to decompress. So word mishaps happen all the time. No worries about that. And one thing that I do want to say today will be pretty informal. So I would like to invite you to, if you have questions, don't be afraid to ask questions throughout. And there will be times when I'll ask questions, and I would highly encourage you to unmute yourself and respond. Nothing is worse than a presenter asking questions and everyone sits on mute and there is crickets. So quick question. Raise your hand if one of the things you are looking for in your next job is job security. Okay, we'll be talking a little bit about that. Unfortunately, there is no such thing as job security. How many of you are concerned about career security? If it's not something you've thought about, it is something you should absolutely think about, because career security is something that you and you alone can control. There is no job security. It doesn't exist. It really never has existed. So I want you to think about what can you do to manage your career security and the branding that will go into that, as well as leveraging LinkedIn. And so we'll be talking about a number of different things. First thing that I want to do is make sure, is everyone well caffeinated? Do you have your coffee? Are you ready to go? Because I don't want to put you to sleep. So please make sure, if you do need to take a quick pause and get a refill, go ahead and do that. One thing I do suggest is, if during the meeting you need to step off of camera, turn off your camera before you get up and go. That's always best practice. If you need to be distracted, turn off your camera, but then turn back on your camera when you are engaged. Having your camera on indicates to presenters or speakers that you are engaged. Having your camera off indicates that you are not engaged. So those are just a few things real quick. Today's agenda, we will be talking about what is the current situation, what is the environment today? What does this mean for you? What does it mean for me? And I'm going to talk about the above the rim approach to career strategy, career security. And I'm going to be laying the groundwork for your personal brand, using LinkedIn to manage your career security. Raise your hand if you look forward to points in your career when you're going to be months and months of between jobs and looking for work? Raise your hand if you really want to have those things. Raise your hand if you'd like to avoid those points. If you'd like to avoid those points of your career, today's workshop will be of tremendous value to you. And we're going to wrap it up with web meeting best practices. So, the current situation. There is a very famous baseball player slash American philosopher in the 1920s. Raise your hand if you've heard of Yogi Berra. Okay, Brandon, what team did he play for?
I thought he played for the Yankees.
You thought correctly. Now, when you're answering questions, you want to be positive, especially in an interview. Don't say "I think," "I thought." Say "it is" or "he did." Be confident in your answers. You are 100% right. And he came out with a statement. He was always having weird sayings, but he said at one point, "The future ain't what it used to be." And since the pandemic, this has really resonated. And we cannot predict the future. And it's never going to be what we think it is. But it has changed so drastically in the last year. Everything was flipped upside down. The other thing to keep in mind is we are in a time of chaos. And unfortunately, I don't believe that chaos is going to be lessening anytime soon. But as the great military strategist Sun Tzu once said, in the midst of chaos, there is opportunity. If you understand that we are living in times of chaos, you will also understand that there will be significant opportunities. And so people get frightened by the chaos. But with the right mindset, you can uncover tremendous opportunities. Now, raise your hand if you are willing to step outside your comfort zone to increase your opportunities. Not everyone is raising their hand. Some people are not raising their hand. But the question is, if you're raising your hand, somehow I have skepticism that you are really willing to. Most people don't want to step outside their comfort zone. So my next question is, not only are you willing to, but do you want to step outside your comfort zone? This is what I encourage you to think about your process for your career and actively look for opportunities to step outside your comfort zone. Raise your hand if you're comfortable with public speaking. Raise your hand if you've always been comfortable with public speaking. Okay, for those of you that are doing it, it's not easy at first, but you have to step outside your comfort zone. There are things throughout your career that you need to actively seek that will force you to step outside your comfort zone, because there is no growth if you stay in your comfort zone. If you want to sit back and stay in your comfortable cubbyhole, your career is not going to grow. And if you do step into the growth zone, there will be discomfort. What is the reason why people don't want to step outside the comfort zone? This is where you can turn off or unmute your mic and answer. Kevin, you're muted.
I was saying maybe they're afraid of failure.
The fear of failure? Okay. Okay, good. Anyone else?
It has uncertainty.
Uncertainty? Okay, very good. Uncertainty, Fear of failure, doubt are the biggest things that cause people not to step outside their comfort zone. Dale Carnegie says inaction breeds doubt and fear. Action breeds confidence and courage. If you want to conquer fear, don't sit at home and think about it. Go out and get busy. Now, in the pandemic, it's not always easy to go out, but it's very easy to get busy and get active. Doing something despite your discomfort is the best way to get over fear. It's kind of funny. I hear a lot of kids say, I wish I was brave like so-and-so because then I wouldn't be afraid. Bravery is not the absence of fear. It's the ability to take action despite fear. We talked a little bit about job security. And the reality is job security does not exist. Since there is no job security, what's the true key to your next job, your next promotion, your next business opportunity? Go ahead and unmute yourself and give me some of your answers. What do you think is the biggest key to your next job, promotion, or business opportunity?
Wouldn't it be like making yourself valuable?
Making yourself valuable. Okay, good. Anyone else?
Networking.
Networking. Okay, good. Anyone else?
Maybe like having the confidence to go out and seek these opportunities.
The confidence to go out and seek opportunities. That's good. What is the one tool that most people rely on most heavily when they are looking for work?
Like, are you talking about like a resume or a cover letter?
Very good. Resume. What does a resume demonstrate?
Demonstrate kind of your work experience and a little bit a snapshot about who you are and what you can bring to the table.
Primarily, it's demonstrating your knowledge and your experience. It's demonstrating what you know. Now, moving to what, I'm sorry, how do I pronounce your name? Is it San Julian?
San Juana.
San Juana? Okay, thank you.
No
San
problem.
Juana. What San Juana said about networking. How many of you have heard the saying, it's not what you know, but who you know that counts? I'm going to take it a step further, which makes networking even more important. It's not what you know, and it's not even who you know, but more importantly, who knows you and what is their perception of you as someone that is a thought leader, a subject matter expert, someone that brings value to an organization. The more you can develop relationships with people that know who you are, the more opportunities are going to come to you. Quick question. Raise your hand if you have a profile on LinkedIn. Okay. Sanyana, you are not on LinkedIn? You are
Sorry.
new.
Yes, I am.
Okay. Raise your hand if you are currently connected with me on LinkedIn. Okay, so two of you are. I will talk about connecting later, so I hope all of you do decide to connect with me. Raise your hand if you currently have over 100 connections on LinkedIn. 200. 300. 400. 500. Okay, Kevin, how many do you have?
It's over 500. Doesn't show the actual amount.
Okay, you can go into your profile and you go to your network and you'll see how many you have. Justin, how many do you have?
963.
563.
963.
963. Excellent. What is the minimum number of people you should be connected to on LinkedIn?
501.
501. Absolutely. You need to be over 500. You might say, I don't know 500 people. We will be talking about that. But the critical thing is building a network and creating an opportunity for people to know who you are. So engagement on LinkedIn, engagement in your networking, and there are a few other things that will give you a visibility and presence so that people will know who you are, and that will deliver results. I've had a number of clients that start doing the strategies that I teach. One of my good friends, the first time he took one of my workshops, he had already been unemployed for 9 months. He was not a happy camper. After going through my programs, he started implementing the strategies. He was able to land a position. This was back in 2012. Since then, he has had 4 jobs. In that time span, he has spent 0 days unemployed. He has applied to 0 job postings. The opportunities came to him because people know who he is. Raise your hand if you prefer option 1, spending lots of time submitting job applications, waiting to hear the crickets, or option 2, opportunities coming to you, and even before asking for your resume, they're asking if you're interested in interviewing because they know who you are. Which would you prefer, 1 or 2? Okay, these are the tactics that work for that. Now, we all know these organizations. What is the common, what's a common asset that these organizations have?
They're recognizable.
They are recognizable. And I'm going to take it a step further. They have developed what I call Mindshare. And I'd like you to write this definition on whatever notes you're taking, the word Mindshare. And Mindshare means occupying space physically in the brains of your target audience. These companies actually physically take space in your brain. They take space in the brains of every single individual in this country and almost everyone around the world. No matter where you go, you ask 100 people, what does Nike do? 100%, they will be able to tell you what Nike does. You ask 100 people to name an athletic apparel company, the most common answer will be Nike. These companies spend a lot of money cultivating that mind share. I will be talking about tactics today that will allow you to build networks with people that have never even met you, but they know who you are, what you do, and the value you bring because of the reputation you are building, because of the mind share you are connecting. Now, a lot of people, they go through some of my stuff and they say, well, Greg, that's not for me. I'm not a marketing person. I'm just an engineer. Well, Greg, that's not for me. I'm not a CEO. I'm just a program manager. These strategies work for everyone with one caveat. If you let yourself use them, if you open yourself to the opportunities. If you are convinced that it won't work and you don't implement them, they won't work. So what does this mean for me? What does this mean for you? Number 1, there is no job security, but you can and you must manage your own career security. Starting young is the best time to do it so that you build your career without experiencing tremendous gaps. And why is this important? Anytime you have a gap in employment, you have lost opportunity. If, for example, you are looking and targeting a salary of $60,000 a year, every month you are unemployed, your lost salary plus benefits is $6,500 a month. If you're out of work for 2 months, that's $13,000. 4 months, $26,000. My question to you is, how important is it for you to minimize your downtime where you're not receiving your salary and benefits? What do you need to do? Is it important enough for you to step outside your comfort zone? There is a very famous career coach that has said any employer will hire any applicant as long as they are convinced the hiring will bring more value than it costs. Raise your hand if your compensation is an important component of your next position. Okay, some of you are saying it. Good. Raise your hand if you would prefer to have more compensation. If you want more money, you have to demonstrate more value. Now, does having an advanced degree inherently mean you deserve more money? No, it doesn't. A lot of people get advanced degrees because they want to earn more money. And many times that is a path and it's part of the equation that will help you there. But the advanced degree does not guarantee you and does not entitle you to a higher salary. So we'll be talking about how do you leverage what you're learning to create your best opportunities. And now I will be talking about the above the rim approach. This workshop is not designed to give you a fish. So I'm not going to just give you a quick shortcut things that you can do that's going to give you something to eat. Unfortunately, looking at this picture, I'm getting very hungry. How many of you like a seared tuna steak? I love it. But I want to give you the skills to fish so that you can eat every day. And the reality is being able to take the initiative to research and learn new things throughout your career is a critical trait for career survival. So for those of you that are still in school, when you graduate, that is not the end of your learning. I have encountered so many people when I talk to them about what have they learned recently, and I get a blank look in their face like saying, learned? I haven't done anything since I graduated from school in 1976. If your knowledge stops in 1976, how good is that for your career? Not real good. So another thing is, Richard Branson. Raise your hand if you know who Richard Branson is. Okay, Brandon, who's Richard Branson?
He's a philosopher.
He is a philosopher. Good guess. Let's see. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. Harjat?
Oh, yes, Harjo. He was the the founder of the Virgin Group?
Yes, he was and still is.
Still is, yeah.
And a very, very famous entrepreneur, businessman, and philanthropist. So he started all of the Virgin Group companies, including Virgin Atlantic. He has said, if your boss comes to you and says, can you do this, and you do not know how to do it, your answer should be yes, and you figure it out. He doesn't expect you to ask, how do you do it? He expects you to figure it out. Being able to take initiative to research new things is critical to career success. So are you prepared for a paradigm shift in how you approach not only your job search, but your career management?
Mamba mentality is a constant quest to find answers. It's that infinite curiosity to want to be better, to figure things out. I try to look at 5 attributes that you need to improve and to propel yourself forward. Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, LeBron James. You know, they just have a constant curiosity about learning the game, about figuring the game out, and how can they take the game to another level. Their constant quest to improve is a true embodiment of Mamba mentality. I mean, the most important thing is to have that thirst for knowledge and that thirst to get better.
My assumption is your curiosity has served you well in your academia. You've got to ensure that your curiosity carries forward into your corporate career. Having a constant curiosity. What am I doing? How am I doing it? Why am I doing it? What can I do to get better? Kobe Bryant, throughout his career, from the very beginning, worked with other people to learn what they did, how they did it, how he could get better. Even as his career was winding down and he knew he was going to be transitioning, he talked with and he learned from titans of industry in every arena. He wanted to learn what they did to get to the top of their field. He learned about a sushi chef in Japan, that 90-something-year-old sushi chef who is considered to be the best sushi chef in Japan. And he arranged to spend a week living with him, talking with him, absorbing from him, not to learn how to become a sushi chef, but what did he do to get to the top of his field? And even when he retired, his first project out of the MBA, what did he do? He won an Academy Award. He won an Oscar. He had a number of books that he published that became New York Times bestsellers. Those were things that he did before he passed away. It's critical that you have that curiosity, that you're always looking to see what you can do to be better. Please hold on 1 minute, please. I apologize for that. Okay. Now, through my experience, there are 2, generally speaking, kinds of workers that I have encountered. There are sustainers and there are achievers. Sustainers, basically, they believe in hard work. They believe in their education. They believe in their knowledge, believe in their technical skills. Merit has its own reward. I'll do my work. It will be recognized. I will be rewarded accordingly. They do it on their own. They grind through it. They have a fair world mentality. If I work hard, I will get noticed. I will get promoted because that is what is fair. Typical plateaued job cycle for people with this approach. They spend the first 6 months to 2 years developing proficiency in their job. The next 2 to 5 years, they work at 100% proficiency of their assigned tasks. After that, job satisfaction and even opportunities decrease. This is the type of person, they put their nose to the grindstone and they have a belief that my work will speak for itself and earn my promotions. So many people that I talk to, they said one of their biggest regrets is they thought in their career that their work will be noticed and they will automatically be promoted accordingly. That doesn't work. They focus 100% on their assigned tasks. There are people, they get buried in their career, they get buried in the day-to-day grind. And if something is not in their job description, if it's not in their assigned tasks, they say, that's not my responsibility. When I talk with people about what they achieved and I ask questions around that, oftentimes their answer is, I don't know that. That was not my responsibility. I implore you to have curiosity beyond your job responsibility. Understand what it is you do, how well it works, how does it impact others, how does it help the company. When you're trying to understand your value, you have to understand your work has to do one of three things: help the company generate revenue, help the company reduce costs, help the company mitigate risks. And you need to know to what degree your projects, processes are doing that. If you just have the focus, this is my assignment, I do it, it's done, you hand it over, and you're completely unaware of how it's being used, how it's being impactful, you're doing yourself a disservice, you're doing your company a disservice, and your career is going to start sliding down in terms of satisfaction. Achievers, on the other hand, of course, work hard. A negotiated world mentality. What that means is not everything is black and white. If I do X, I'm going to get Y. It's not a straight formula process. Things are adaptive. It's negotiated. They leverage highly non-technical skills. Technical skills are required for you to do your job often. Non-technical skills are required for you to succeed in your job. They give without expectation. They do things outside their job description, and they actively seek recognition. The career growth job cycle, rather than plateauing and then declining, the beginning looks the same. The first 2 years, 6 months to 2 years, is spent getting to 100% proficiency. The next 2 to 5 years, you're operating within your core responsibility at 100%, plus actively looking for things outside your responsibility so that 20% of your work is outside your job description. This increases satisfaction, it increases growth and promotion opportunities. The achievers actively work to understand how their work is used downstream. They actively work to understand additional opportunities and outside job descriptions to build influence within their department, to build influence within the company, and to build influence outside of the company. The more you are curious, the more you have your head up, the more you're asking questions, the greater opportunities will come to you. The biggest reason why people are not promoted from positions is there's two reasons. Number one, decision makers don't see you doing anything above what you're currently doing. They don't envision it. And the reason why they don't envision it is because you're not doing anything outside your job responsibility. The other is people don't see anyone else doing your work. So it is critical throughout your career that you are mentoring, that you are being mentored from people above you, but you are mentoring people on your team, you're mentoring people below you, that you have a succession plan so that as you get promoted, you can recommend someone that you've been grooming to fill your position. If you're doing your job so well that they can't replace you, you're not going to get promoted. But if you're doing your job so well that you're training other people, but you're expanding beyond your role, they're going to see you as the ideal person to promote and the person you're grooming as a person to backfill your position. Having these thoughts early in your career will significantly enhance your career opportunities, and it will reduce, if not eliminate, situations where suddenly you find yourself without a job. Learn to lead.
I had a quick question. Is there a
Absolutely.
slide? If you can go to the slide before.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do when either your job is siloed in so that you're not able to kind of see that external impact, or if you're already committing yourself 100% of the time to your job because it is either a beast of a job or something like that that you have to do, that you can't have that 20% developing on the unassigned tasks?
Do whatever you can to create that 20%. Now, when you say siloed in, most companies are inherently siloed. You've got to take every action you can. So, for example, understand who are the stakeholders, who uses your work downstream. Talk with them. Find out, how am I doing? How am I making your job easier? What can I do differently? Then as soon as you're doing that, you're going to adjust the way you do it. At the same time, if you're, how many hours a week are you putting into your work where you're saying that it's 100%, you don't have capacity to do more?
I'm just maybe you're working 8 hours a day.
Okay. The one thing I would suggest is having the assumption that you're going to be working 40 hours a week is not going to be either, it's either going to be an inaccurate assumption or it is going to be a limiting assumption. When I talk to most people that have been in their career a while, they are working 50, 60, 70 hours a week. Do you need to work 70 hours a week? No. Do you need to proactively look to manage your work-life balance? Absolutely, 100%. But if you do your job, what you need to do is look for ways to make it more efficient, more productive, so that you can then look for opportunities outside your immediate job. Anytime you're buried in work and it involves a lot of process, involves a lot of tasks, first ask yourself the question, why am I doing these? Understand the needs for it. Talk to the people downline that are using it. Then once you understand what they need, find out ways that you can do it better. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Is it easy? No. But life wasn't meant to be easy. And I will tell you, when you overcome those challenges, when you go in and you're doing this and you're doing this grind and you're looking at what is the real purpose of this? Why am I doing this? And then a light's going to go off and say, you know what? If I do this differently, I'm going to be able to do it better. I'm going to be able to do it more quickly with higher efficiency and higher quality. That's the thing about the human mind, is we're always looking for ways to do things better. Don't look for shortcuts, but look for ways to do things better. Great question, Justin. I love that. Any other questions? Okay, so learning to lead. Another issue is there are a lot of times when they're very successful at one job, and sometimes they'll be promoted into a managerial job, but they're not trained in leadership. They're not trained in management. One of the most important things that you can be doing in your career is, for example, in education, whether it's in high school or university, participating in the school play, the debate team, running for political office, even if one loses, getting involved in social organizations. So, for example, you are all involved in Med Device, you've joined it. My next suggestion is to not just join, but get actively involved. Find opportunities within Med Device Alliance or a Device Alliance to get on committees, get on a board, get positions of visibility and of credibility, and you're going to learn leadership opportunities. Getting involved in these activities develop your ability to negotiate, organize, delegate responsibility, motivate others, and in short, to lead. This is from Skills and Success, published by Dr. Adele Shalili. Not sure how to pronounce her name. That was back in 1978. But it's critical to understand, while you're in school, your activities outside of your academic endeavors will be as important, if not more important, than what you're doing in your academic endeavors. Learning what you're learning to the best of your degree is important, and therefore grades are important. But grades will not mean anything to the companies when you're trying to apply. Nobody I know asks for what was your GPA. And unfortunately, no one really cares what your GPA is or was. There is zero correlation between GPA and growth within organizations. The correlation is more based on what social organizations did you belong to, what activities were you in, what leadership skills did you learn, what soft skills did you learn. And it's those things that correlate to success. The same is true after you graduate, getting positions on boards or committees and professional associations. So, for example, Joanne, in what she does with the Device Alliance, creates visibility for her, which is going to create opportunities. She's also given a lot of responsibilities where she needs to do things, which is developing her leadership skill. And that's going to serve her tremendously as she moves into corporate positions. Richard Branson, when he's looking to hire people, personality wins over book smarts. The first thing that he looks for is a great personality. He says the most important quality for a successful business, it's the most important quality for a successful business, as you can always teach job-specific skills and company knowledge later. So what are your emotional intelligence skills? What are your soft skills? We look for people who are friendly, considerate, who like working with others, These personalities make our staff successful and in turn our businesses successful. They also keep the company culture vibrant. So I know that's not what you wanted to say, that your most important thing is not the degree that you have, it's not the grade that you have. But how are you using it? How are you leveraging that with your soft skills? And I'm not going to say that your degree is not important. It is critically important. But there are things that go along with that, because that degree alone isn't going to get you your opportunities. So, laying the groundwork for your professional brand. A diamond is just a piece of charcoal that's handled stress exceptionally well. If you're pursuing higher education, I would assume you've had some stress so far. Raise your hand if you've experienced some stress in pursuing your degree. Absolutely. Now, my question is that stress and how you're dealing with that? Are you turning yourself into a diamond, or are you staying a lump of coal? The corporate world is not always a friendly place. It's not always an easy place. If you've talked to people that have been in their career a long time, they will tell you that companies will treat you like a lump of coal, burn you, consume you, work you as hard as they can. And when they're finished, they throw you out and say, because you're coal, take your ash out of here. You don't want to be treated like a lump of coal. You need to brand yourself not as a widget. Most people brand themselves as widgets, but as a diamond, as a thought leader, as a subject matter expert, as someone who is continuously growing, as someone who is continuously proactively adding value to your organizations that you work for. So you need to be who you were created to be. So right now we're going to be looking at understanding where your best opportunities can be uncovered. There is a term in Japanese that is called ikigai, and it translates to that for which I wake up in the morning. A lot of people I run into when I talk about, do you enjoy waking up in the morning to go to work? And I get a look on my face on their face like, what the heck are you talking about? I talk to other people who love their work. They love waking up and getting to work. The challenge is most people, when they're looking for work, they focus on two things. They focus on what they're good at and what they can be paid for. There are two other components that you need to seriously consider. Does the world need it? Now, all of you are pursuing med device, which would tend for me to say that, yes, I think the world needs it. Next is, what do you love? My question is, do you love what you're doing? Raise your hand if you have worked in a corporate environment at all. Okay, keep your hands raised if there was any kind of dysfunction in any of that corporate environment. Every organization has dysfunction, and if it doesn't, when you join, it will. I know certainly when I join a company, I work for myself and there's dysfunction in my organization. So there's dysfunction everywhere. There is toxicity often in a lot of places. If you're not loving what you do, if you're not emotionally invested in what the company is doing, That toxicity is going to burn you out. It's going to tear you apart. You're going to lose your motivation. You're going to lose your mojo. You're going to lose your job. Then because of the bad experience, you're going to be carrying baggage around. That's going to make your next job a lot harder to get. It is critical that you're looking for opportunities that not only are you good at it, not only can you be paid for it, but is it what the world needs? Do you believe in it? Can you be emotionally invested in it? And do you love what you're doing? So looking at this, if you do just what you're good at, what you can be paid for, that's simply a profession, and people do it just to get a paycheck. If you do what you can be paid for and what the world needs, that's a vocation. If you do what the world needs and what you love, that's a passion. If you do what you love and what you're good at, that's a mission. If you're combining three of the circles, what you love with what you're good at and with what you can be paid for, you have satisfaction, but if the world doesn't need it, there's a sense of pointlessness. If you're combining what you're good at with what you can be paid for, with what the world needs, you'll have a comfort level. But if you don't love it, there's no significance. If you're combining what you can be paid for with what the world needs, with what you love, but you're not good at it, it may be exciting, but how long can you keep that job if you're not good at it? If you're combining what you're good at with what you love, with what the world needs, but you can't be paid for it, you're going to have significance, but no opportunity for wealth. You want to look for an opportunity where you're working where all of the circles converge. And that is what I call working in the ikigai. Raise your hand if you've heard that professional athletes get paid pretty good money. Okay, they get paid pretty well. Raise your hand if you've ever heard of unhappy athletes. They are often unhappy. Salary doesn't make happiness. But going into all these things is going to help your career be significantly more successful.
I call it the golden circle. Why, how, what? This little idea explains why some organizations and some leaders are able to inspire where others aren't. Let me define the terms really quickly. Every single person, every single organization on the planet knows what they do 100%. Some know how they do it, whether you call it your differentiating value proposition or your proprietary process or your USP. But very, very few people or organizations know why they do what they do. And by why, I don't mean to make a profit. That's a result. It's always a result. By why, I mean what's your purpose? What's your cause? What's your belief? Why does your organization exist? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? And why should anyone care? Well, as a result, the way we think, the way we act, the way we communicate is from the outside in. It's obvious. We go from the clearest thing to the fuzziest thing. But the inspired leaders and the inspired organizations, regardless of their size, regardless of their industry, all think, act, and communicate from the inside out. Let me give you an example. I use Apple because they're easy to understand and everybody gets it. If Apple were like everyone else, a marketing message from them might sound like this. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? Meh. And that's how most of us communicate. That's how most marketing is done, that's how most sales is done, and that's how most of us communicate interpersonally. We say what we do, we say how we're different or how we're better, and we expect some sort of behavior, a purchase, a vote, something like that. Here's our new law firm. We have the best lawyers with the biggest clients. We have, we always perform for our clients, do business with us. Here's our new car. It gets great gas mileage. It has, leather seats. Buy our car. But it's uninspiring. Here's how Apple actually communicates. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Totally different, right? You're ready to buy a computer from me. All I did was reverse the order of the information. What it proves to us is that people don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. This explains why every single person in this room is perfectly comfortable buying a computer from Apple. But we're also perfectly comfortable buying an MP3 player from Apple, or a phone from Apple, or a DVR from Apple. But as I said before, Apple's just a computer company. There's nothing that distinguishes them structurally from any of their competitors. Their competitors are all equally qualified to make all of these products. In fact, they tried. A few years ago, Gateway came out with flat-screen TVs. They're eminently qualified to make flat-screen TVs. They've been making flat-screen monitors for years. Nobody bought one. And Dell came out with MP3 players and PDAs. And they make great quality products, and they can make perfectly well-designed products, and nobody bought one. In fact, talking about it now, we can't even imagine buying an MP3 player from Dell. Why would you buy an MP3 player from a computer company? But we do it every day. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. When we communicate from the outside in, yes, people can understand vast amounts of complicated information like features and benefits and facts and figures. It just doesn't drive behavior. When we communicate from the inside out, we're talking directly to the part of the brain that controls behavior, and then we allow people to rationalize it with the tangible things we say and do. This is where gut decisions come from. You know, sometimes you can give somebody all the facts and your figures, and they say, I know what all the facts and details say, but it just doesn't feel right. Why would we use that verb? It doesn't feel right. Because the part of the brain that controls decision-making doesn't control language. And the best we can muster up is, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. Or sometimes you say you're leading with your heart, or you're leading with your soul. Well, I hate to break it to you, those aren't other body parts controlling your behavior. It's all happening here in your limbic brain, the part of the brain that controls decision-making and not language. But if you don't know why you do what you do, and people respond to why you do what you do, then how will you ever get people to vote for you or buy something from you, or more importantly, be loyal?
People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. When you're interviewing for opportunities, everyone that is also interviewing for the same position is probably as equally qualified as you. What are you doing to stand out? What's going to sell you is people understanding your passion behind what it is you do. Why do what you do? So I've put together this branding wheel. And when you look at this branding wheel, most people start with what? I suggest do what Simon says, pun intended. Start with your why. How do you do it? What is your style? What are your methodologies? What are your platforms? What are your tools? What are your techniques? Value. You have to understand your value. Remember what I said before about everything you do for an organization has to lead to revenue generation, cost saving, mitigation of risk. If you don't understand how your work is contributing to that and to what value, your job is at risk. You have to understand what that is, and understanding the value that you give and understanding the value you've given to previous organizations is going to help you negotiate your salary in the future because you understand what value you contribute. Then what do you do? Followed by SME. What is SME? How about Kevin? What do you know what SME is?
Is it subject matter expertise?
Absolutely it is. Raise your hand if you have subject matter expertise. All of you should be raising your hand. If you've been studying, you have expertise. If you've been working, you have expertise. If you've been breathing, you should have some form of expertise. What that expertise is, I don't know, but you should have it. So what is your expertise? How are you growing it? How are you developing it? That has to be articulated. In addition to that, what are you known for? Now, I have scheduled a 5-minute break, but we are very limited on time. We've got about 30 minutes left, and I've still got a lot of stuff I want to crunch through. So if you're okay, I'm going to go ahead and squeeze through this. If you do need to take a bio break, go ahead and just turn off your camera. Make sure you don't bring your audio with you if you do that. By the way, there have been times I've been in meetings where people go to a bio break. They don't realize that their mic is still on. That's not a pleasant thing for the rest of the audience to hear. Don't bring your mobile device. Sometimes you forget to turn off your camera. That's not a good thing. I've seen that happen. So if you're going to go on a bio break, turn off, leave your mic behind, and then go take your bio break. So, managing your career security with LinkedIn. The first thing I'd like to talk about is your header.
Greg Johnson with Above the Rim Executive Coaching. I'm a career strategist, LinkedIn evangelist, and I help you take your career to new heights.
On your name field, there's an opportunity to edit of audio. If you have a name that people have difficulty pronouncing, and like a lot of people, I have difficulty pronouncing names. This was designed to help people pronounce your name. If you have a name that is not typical English, Mike Brown, Steve Smith, Greg Johnson, I would suggest doing that. But when you say your name, enunciate it slowly. Don't say your name quickly, because those of us that have monolingual ears will not be able to hear what you are saying. If you have a name, or if you're able to use that pronunciation, you can also use that as a quick commercial of who you are. It gives you about 15 seconds to state your value proposition and what it is you do for people. Also, make sure that you list whether you are open to work, and you can set that so it's visible to recruiters only or to everyone, and so you can take care of that. Now, if you are working, I would suggest you don't have that, only have it open to recruiters. And if you do provide services, if you're consulting or you do things on the side, go ahead and list that information there. In terms of your name, quick tip. I have my name in all caps. This will help for two reasons. There are a lot of people that try doing things with bot marketing, and they'll send automatic messages. What they do is they capture your name. So if I get an invitation where everything is normal capitalization rules and my name is all caps, I know it was a bot and I will ignore it. The other thing is, if you are tagged on LinkedIn and everyone else's name is first name or the first initial, first letter cap, everything else lowercase, if your name is all caps, when you're tagged with a group of people, your name will stand out. Also, above my name and behind my picture, we have what we call the hero image. That is an ability for you to brand yourself. I strongly suggest not keeping what they have there as a standard, but create something that will tell people who you are, what's your value, why do you do what you do, and it will look different than everyone else's profile. By the way, quick question. Go ahead and open your mics. Aline? Or no, I'm going to go with San Juana. What's the first word you think of when you hear the word LinkedIn?
First word I think of networking.
Networking.
People.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Harjot, what do you think of?
I just think mostly of just connecting with people.
Connecting. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Brandon, what do you think of?
Well, the first word I thought of was website.
Website. Okay, good. Good. Kevin.
Branding.
Branding. Okay. Oscar? Oscar's not there. Aline?
I think of career.
Career. Okay, you all gave really good answers. Harjat, what about you? Did you already say something?
Oh, I said connection. But I think
Connection.
another
Okay,
one too.
that's right. Okay, great. Most people, when I talk to, the first thing they think of is job search. I'm glad no one said that, because I want that to be the last thing you think of when you think about LinkedIn. A lot of you said networking, connections, things like that. That is extremely good. Some of you said career. LinkedIn is a career management tool. It is not a job search tool. It can be very effective in helping you land a job as long as you're not using it as a job search tool. But it's critical that you have information on there that's establishing your subject matter expertise. There is a section on LinkedIn called featured, things that you can put on there. First of all, do not post your resume because this is not a job search tool. If you have an executive bio or network, if you have an executive bio, go ahead and put that up there. Case studies, if you have those, special reports, PowerPoints, videos, presentations. If you're doing any presentations and it's a presentation you did for a company, please make sure you scrub out any proprietary confidential information. Web links, I have my flyers there. How many of you are making use of your featured section on LinkedIn? Okay, Justin, what do you have there?
I have my summer poster presentation and then also an article that I published.
Excellent. Those are really good ideas. So as soon as you put these in your featured section, also links to your posts, which is good. These can open up. They can be downloaded by people that view your profile. So it's an opportunity to give people a flavor of who you are, and it's further branding opportunity. One of the things that is critical for LinkedIn, you want to make sure your profile is visible. It's you want to make sure people are going to your profile. If you're not getting any traffic, you're not getting opportunities. My recommendation is you need to have at least 270 views in the last 90 days. And in order to achieve this, you need to actually be active on LinkedIn every day. If you're working, I would suggest 15, 20, 30 minutes a day. LinkedIn is something I believe you should be doing at work. Why should you be doing at work? Number one, it's not a job search tool, it's a career management tool, but it can help you work more effectively. And so I'll be talking about a few of these strategies as to what you should be doing while you're at work, but you should be having 270 views. Raise your hand if you know how many views you've had in the last 90 days.
Will you go over a little bit how to search your view history?
One of the things that I teach in most of my classes, if I don't go over it in this class, a good way to figure out is to ask Google, how do I find something? But if you go to your home page, you'll see on the left-hand side a panel. You'll see how many views you've had, and that's over the last 90 days. So Justin, how many views, if you go to your home, how many views do you have?
I could see the views. Who viewed my profile was 152, and views
152 in the last 90 days. Okay, that's not bad. You wanna increase your activity, and that will get you over 270. Does anyone have more than 150? Okay. Most people, the first time they take my classes, they're probably between 5 and 50. If you're in that range and this is the first time you've taken my stuff, that's okay, but you know things that you can do. Don't wait until you're graduating. Don't wait until you think you need to start your job search. Start these things now. It's going to pay off. Don't wait. I know you guys are busy, but these things pay off. 15, 20, 30 minutes a day. Minimum, this is a bare minimum that you should be at. And as part of that, actively engage and work to engage with 10 people every day. Now, how do you engage with people? There are a number of different ways. Let's open it up to the forum. Aline, what's a way that you can engage with people in your
Um,
network?
You can connect with them, like message them on LinkedIn.
Message them on LinkedIn. Very good. Joanne, what's another way to engage on LinkedIn or
You can,
engage with your network?
you can comment and tag people.
Comment and tag people. Very good. Oscar, how about you? What's another way to engage with people in your network?
Maybe giving them recommendations if you're a coworker with them, giving them a good word so they can get
Okay.
better opportunities.
Okay.
Does
Do
it
you
have a recommendation feature?
recommendations is good? By the way, do you need to have worked with someone to give a recommendation or endorsement?
I got a recommendation from somebody. We're just classmates in school, but we never worked with each other.
That's right. You don't need to work with them. Recommendations can be very valuable. Also, if you are publishing information, if you're speaking publicly, if you are visible, it will be easier to get recommendations, even if people have not worked with you specifically. So those are all good things. Even getting together and doing communication outside of LinkedIn, emails is a great way to engage with your network. Getting on Zoom calls is a great. Also, if you have one of these smartphones, there is an app on here. It allows you to make phone calls. Call people in your network, speak with them. You don't have to be on Zoom, but that works as well too. I know it's a little bit old tech, old school, but it does work. The main thing is with your network, you want to engage regularly. You want to be inquisitive. How are they doing? How are things going? And as you do that and you build rapport, they will be much more likely to refer opportunities to you, even when you're not necessarily seeking. You want to be at a point where people are going to you regularly, whether you are looking for opportunities or not. Getting recommendations on LinkedIn is a critical way to build your brand. So you should have at least one for each position you have on your LinkedIn profile, 3 to 5 in the last 5 years. Ask former coworkers, supervisors, peers, subordinates, and draft a guide for people that you're asking to get those recommendations from. Demonstrate your relevance and value through certifications, organizations, languages. What professional learning are you doing? What professional memberships do you belong to? What patents do you have? What projects have you worked on? What awards have you won? If you've won any awards in academia, go ahead and make sure that that's listed. Check others and see what's relevant. All these things are going to help to build your brand. Now, we've talked about building your network strategically. We've talked about having more than 500 connections. There are people that you should strategically look to connect with, whether you know them or not. But once you connect with them, you need to create the opportunity to get to know them. So people that have worked at the same companies as you don't have to have worked with them. They could have worked before you. They could have worked after you. But look to connect with people that have worked in the same companies as you. Then when you connect with them and you see where they are working, that creates an opportunity to connect with them, ask about what they're doing, and learn if there are any opportunities there. Connect with people that went to your same school. Raise your hand if you're an anteater. You want to reach out and connect to other anteaters. I'm a Titan. I reach out and connect to other Titans. The good news is in Orange County, you're going to find a lot of anteaters in the organizations you're applying to. That's going to help you. People that do the same function, reach out to them, have conversations with them, learn what they're doing. That's going to help you. People in your professional and industry association. So if you're a member of DeviceAlliance, which I believe all of you are, connect with as many people in DeviceAlliance as you can. Let them know that you're early in your career, you're looking for ways to improve, get informational meetings, learn the stories of people. You can find mentors. There's a lot of things that you can do. Now, I'm assuming sometimes you get, raise your hand if you ever get invitations from people to connect and you don't know who they are. So what should you do with those? There are people you should say yes to, and there are people you should say no to. Some people use the same criteria on the left as the criteria of who they should accept and who they shouldn't. My criteria is different. I have one criteria for accepting. The invitation needs to be personalized. So if you're going to, I do encourage you to connect with me, but I also require it to be personalized. If your invitation is not personalized, I don't accept it. Why is that my requirement? Because I want people in my network that will engage with me. If you're not going to personalize the invitation, I'm assuming you're just a clicker, you're not an engager, and you're not going to be of any benefit. I want people who can engage. I want people who will be curious, who will communicate. So I say no to people that are non-personalized. I say no to salespeople, and I primarily say no to recruiters because, again, LinkedIn is not a job search tool. It is a career management tool. So when you are connecting with people on LinkedIn, it is critical to understand you must personalize all invitations. That is critical point number one. Number two, not doing it brands you as lazy. All invitations can be referred to for later engagement, and this gives you context for all of your future engagement. So when you want to connect with someone, go to their profile on your computer, not on your mobile device. Actually read the profile first. You should not be connecting with someone without reading their profile. Now, for those of you that are going to connect with me, you will see that I require that you know my email address. My email address is on my profile, so it's not a problem. You read my profile, you know my email address, you can connect with me. You need to read the profile. Click on the connect button. Make sure that you add a note and make specific references to something you read in their profile or things that you talked about if you met them. Invitation on the mobile apps. Make sure you do not hit the connect, because if you hit connect, it's going to send a non-personalized invite. A lot of people will say, well, I can't personalize the invite on the mobile device. Yes, you can. If you click more, then you can personalize the invite. Once you personalize it, make sure you proofread it for typos and for erroneous auto corrections. Go ahead, and once you do that, you hit send. If you go to someone's profile and you want to connect and you see this in mail, that is not a connection request. All that does is send a message. It has no function of connecting. If you don't see the option to connect and you are not a first degree connection, you hit the 3 dots. Once you hit the 3 dots, you can hit connect and you can follow the steps above. I guarantee you, one of you is going to try to connect and you're going to hit that end message. And I'll respond back and say, hey, thanks for the message. I appreciate it. But if you'd like to connect, please hit the connect button. If you don't find the connect button, what do? You hit the more or you hit the 3 dots. When you get invitations, make sure you engage. I send out a lot of invitations. Every single one of them is personalized. 95% of the people click accept, but they do not engage back. Why would I accept an invitation and ignore what is in there? You need to read the invitations, look at their profile, accept, and respond back. Just accepting an invitation doesn't do you any good. You need to build rapport. It's your responsibility to build rapport with your network so that they have a favorable impression of you. You are memorable in a positive way. You're creating Mindshare so that when opportunities come, they will come to you. You don't want them to go to other people in your network. You want them to come to you. If it is not personalized, what I will do is I will look at their profile and then engage before accepting. So how do I engage before accepting? I can click Manage All. Once I click Manage All, it goes to a new page. I've reviewed their profile. Then I click Message. Once I click Message, I type in the message and I hit Send. So I'm engaging. Then if they don't respond, then I ignore it. If they respond, then I accept it, and we start the process of building rapport, cultivating relationships. If people are viewing your profile, if you're getting 270 plus views every 90 days, you want to see who's looking at your profile. Reach out to them. Look at their profile and engage. If they're a first degree connection like Eric Flicker on the bottom, I would look at his profile, see what updates there are, and I'd say, hey, Eric, thanks for visiting my profile. What brought you by? I see that you are blah, 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 doing blah, 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 or still doing, or now doing, or I reference what might be new, and then I ask, how are things going? And let me know if there's anything I can do for you. If it is not a current connection, I'll look at their profile. I'll see, why would I want to connect with them, read their profile, and then from their profile, I will hit connect, and I'll send an invite thanking them for visiting my profile, mentioning something about their profile, and then asking them to connect. Very simple. Your network will give you information every day on people that have birthdays, people that have new jobs, people that have promotions, people that have work anniversaries, people that have commented on posts that you've written, and people that have commented on posts that you've commented on. Getting involved in those discussions, engaging with those people builds a reputation, builds a familiarity so that people will be coming to you. Again, option one, spending time submitting resumes into the black hole and hearing crickets in response. Option two, opportunities coming to you. Which do you prefer, one or two? If you prefer one, then don't do any of this. If you prefer two, start doing these things now. This is an opportunity to generate mind share. It also gives you an opportunity who's a person that doesn't reach out only when you want something. It gives you an opportunity to engage on a regular basis with your network. How do you stand out in your network? Number one, get on a board position or a committee within your professional organization. Create opportunities to speak. Write for publications. And actively, when you connect with people, look to see who you can connect them with in your network. You should also be creating posts on LinkedIn. This is something that you can do once or twice a day. You have up to 600 characters. Share links to professional or subject matter expertise content. Company information updates, professional association meetings, and your speaking engagements. Again, this generates mind share. It lets people know who you are and allows you to create an online persona that will create demand for you. Also, writing your own articles. This is a great way to expand your reach, to increase your credibility, establish your subject matter expertise, and gives you an opportunity to share in other social media. This particular page at the time of this screenshot had 947 views. The thing that was most impressive for me was it was shared 57 times. Enough people thought about it that they shared it with their network. This was shared with people's networks in around the world, countries like Japan, Taiwan, South Korea, India, Spain, Germany, UK. And so having this shared around the world gave me an opportunity to see how people around the world were responding to my article. It was very exciting. You can be a brand ambassador. So one of the things you should be doing for your organization is acting as a brand ambassador. Richard Branson says some people might see Virgin's 50,000 employees as a cost to be managed, but I see 50,000 potential passionate brand ambassadors. So what should you be doing? Sharing information on your company. Company milestones, company events, trade shows that your company is attending, product or service innovations, customer success stories, share things that are going on with the corporate culture. If your company has some things that are going on for community development, for diversity action, whatever your company is doing for a social agenda, share what's going on. There are other things you can look at. Now, we have about 3 minutes left. Joanne, is it okay if I take a little bit more time to quickly go over webinar best practices, or do we need to wrap up right at?
You can go on for a little bit longer, but I like to keep to on time.
Okay. Okay. So we just have a few minutes left. So webinar best practices. Couple of things that I recommend. When you're attending webinars, make sure you're not sitting on a couch, sit at a desk or table. And if possible, you want to be in a separate room with the door closed. You want to have your back to the wall. The background, I'm sorry, should be branded and simple. That is not, should not be, should be branded and simple. Make sure that the camera does not face into an open room. And a screen will do wonders to block out things you don't want to see. Basically, you don't want to be in a bedroom. You don't want to be in a living room. You don't want to be in a dining room. You don't want to have indication that your room has another function other than your work. So if you are in one of those situations, putting a screen up will do wonders. I have a screen behind myself because I'm actually working in my garage. And behind me is a garage door. No one wants to see a garage door. You can have a green screen behind you that can work as well. That's available on Amazon. I think it's about $60-something. Make sure that when you're using a laptop, it is not flat on your desk. That creates a bad angle. It should be eye level. You should make sure that your camera level is eye level or higher. So this is what a lot of people are doing, and it's not a good angle. You don't do that. You want to make sure that it's a straight on face view. If you're using a laptop, there are laptop stands you can get that will elevate it. If you are doing that, it makes sense to have a Bluetooth keyboard. That makes it a lot easier. Make sure that the lighting is set up properly. You don't want to have light coming from behind you. Light should be coming from in front of you. Use soft lighting. I use LED light, and this is something that you can buy. It's relatively inexpensive. This will get the light from in front of you, but you want to make sure that your background is not dark either. But you want the room to be well lit, but then make sure that there's good light coming from in front of you so there's not shadows. Again, the camera should be about 2.5 feet from your face, and it should show your head and shoulders. You want to make sure that you're filling out most of the screen. So Harjat, you're a little bit small there. You want to be a little bit closer. Joanne has a good setup. Aline, the way you're filling your screen is really good. And sound. The number one mistake that most people use is they rely on the computer audio. And most people don't realize how bad their voice transmission is. I don't recommend using a Bluetooth earpiece because, again, there will be delays and it'll be garbled. Earbuds that plug into your computer are the easiest, cheapest, simplest solution. If you do have a headset, make sure it plugs in either via USB or into the sound jack. Or you can get a dedicated mic and use a headset. That will give you the best quality sound. Now, whether you're attending a meeting where there's a lot of people, what your video presence setup is like and what your voice sounds like can really help you or it can really hurt you. If you have bad sound, that's going to really hurt you. If I'm in a group and I'm talking to a lot of people and Joanne has good sound and Justin has good sound, but Sam, there's no Sam here, good. Sam has horrible sound. That is going to subliminally make me judge whether he knows what he's doing or not. Does that sound have any real relevance to his capability to work? No, but it will impact other people's thoughts of your ability to do it. You want your setup to look like you are set up on purpose and you're ready to work now. You're not distracted. If you're in a bedroom, you're distracted. If you're in a kitchen, you're going to be distracted. If you're in a living room, you're going to be distracted. You want to make sure that it looks like your station is set up on purpose to work now without distractions. If you're using a mobile device, get a mount for it. Keep it stable. Don't walk around with it. The other thing is, if you're using a mobile device, for example, Oscar, I don't mean to point things out, but you'll notice that everyone's picture is horizontal, yours is vertical. So generally speaking, you want yours to be horizontal. So turn it to the side, it'll be horizontal. It will display better for everyone else, but then you also want to make sure that it is mounted and at eye level or higher. Your cameras and your iPads will have much better camera than your laptop, but I do recommend if you're using a laptop to go ahead and get a external camera. They're not that expensive. That will help your presentation. Laptop cameras are notoriously bad. Your phone cameras are usually good. You just want to make sure that it is mounted and it is set up at the right angle. If you're doing a presentation, I do recommend having multiple screens, monitors. It helps significantly when you're doing your presentation. So you can see on this setup, I have the screen that you guys see on the left-hand side, and I have in front of me, just under my camera, I have the presenter view, and just to the right of that, I have the gallery view so I can see the audience and participation. And this helps me in presenting in a comfortable format. Make sure that you log in early. Technology issues happen. Always testing, is this thing on? Does this work? Do test recordings to see how you look and sound. I recommend that you get a Zoom account and practice and record it to see how you look and sound. Make sure you log in early, test the audio every time you log in, test the video every time you log in, and test your internet speed. One of the things you can do is download a free app. I think it's a speedtest.us or something like that. Anyway, you can do a Google search. It's easy to get free testing. You want to make sure that you have good internet connection, especially if you're doing video. It's going to be much better. So what I do suggest is create free accounts at the various webinar platforms. Those are free. Add your professional photo. So when you turn off your camera, you have your photo there and not just a blank space. This way, your full name and photo will be present. And these are the ones you should sign up for: Zoom, WebEx, GoToMeeting, Skype. Google Meet. Also, I would suggest MS Teams. All of them have free accounts. So you can sign up, create your profile. That way, when you get an interview, no matter what platform they're on, you've already had practice. You're already comfortable. Nothing is worse than starting off an interview demonstrating inability to use the platform. General in-meeting etiquette. Make sure you're doing all you can to reduce distractions. Make sure your door is closed. Watch the camera, not the screen. Especially when you're speaking and when you're interviewing, watch the camera. If you are in an interview, place a photo of the person you're interviewing with just under the camera so it's easier for you to make eye contact. Self-mute when you are not speaking. Quick trick for Zoom. If I mute myself and I hold spacebar, I can temporarily unmute myself as long as I'm holding spacebar. If I mute, if I press a spacebar, I go back on unmute. So when you're self-muted, hold the space key and you can temporarily unmute yourself. I see a lot of people have a tendency to swivel in their chair, bounce in their chair, especially in interview situations. You don't want to do that. If you need to have a lot of movement and you're taking your focus off the meeting, temporarily turn off your camera. A lot of movements will distract the other participants. Make sure you're wearing appropriate clothing if you are in a business networking event. Today's Saturday, it's good to be casual, but if you are attending a networking event, generally speaking, you want to be a little bit business casual. Don't eat on camera, even if you're muted. No one wants to see you munching on things, and that can be distracting. And I see a lot of people, they're sitting there munching on things, and nothing is more distracting for a presenter, but it's also distracting for other participants. Now, drinking, in my opinion, is not a problem. We need to keep hydrated and caffeinated, so that is not a problem.
You really want me on the team. What's your approach to recruitment?
You want first place, come play with me. You want second place, go somewhere else. Like I would watch Magic play. I'd watch Michael play.
What are you doing to get mentored? What are you doing to learn from others that went ahead of you in your process? Reach out, seek out people that you can get mentored from.
And I would see them do these unbelievable things, and I'd say, you know, can I get to that level? I don't know, but let's find out.
That's why he's the best player in the game.
Everything was done to try to learn how to become a better basketball player.
From the time he was a child, everything he did was to learn to get better at his craft. This is something that went throughout his career. So my question to you is, what are you doing to, and as your students, you are obviously doing this now, but make sure you never forget to keep doing whatever you can to learn to get better at your craft.
Everything. And so when you have that point of view, then literally the world becomes your library to help you to become better at your craft.
So
when you have the drive to be better, when you have the drive to learn, it's interesting how suddenly things open up and you see this is an opportunity to learn. This is an opportunity to learn. So what he's saying is the world is becoming your library.
Because you know what you want, the world's giving you exactly the information you need to become better at it.
Because you know what you're looking for.
So many guys tell stories about your work ethic.
Yeah.
What was really your work ethic like, and for how long did you stay disciplined?
Well, I mean, every day. I mean, since 20 years. I mean, it was an everyday process and trying to figure out strengths and weaknesses. For example, jumping ability. Man, my vertical was a 40, it wasn't a 46 or a 45. My hands are big, but they're not massive, right? So you got to figure out ways to strengthen them so your hands are strong enough to be able to palm a ball and do the things that you need to do. Quickness, I was quick, but not insanely quick. I was fast, but not ridiculously fast, right? So I had to rely on skill a lot more.
Not everyone has the same natural talents. So what is it that you can figure out to learn the angles, to learn the secrets to give yourself an advantage? He talks about, I only had a 40-inch vertical jump, so I had to figure out ways to do things differently, better. Okay, only a 40-inch jump, that's pretty significant. But it wasn't as high as other people. He's saying that there were other people that had specific skills that were better than him, specific physical attributes that were better than him. But he found ways to create angles. And that's what we need to be doing in our career.
They rely on angles a lot more. I had to study the game a lot more. And but I enjoyed it though. So like from the time I can remember when I started watching the game, I studied the game and it just never changed. It's a good separation for me, emotionally, to be able to put myself in a place where at practice or when I'm training or during games, I switch my mind to something else. I switch my mode into something else.
When you're preparing for an interview, you've got to switch your mode into something else.
Right. For me, it's the equivalent of Maximus Decimus Meridius in Gladiator picking up the dirt, smelling the dirt. It's go time. Right. So that was my mental switch. It was like an actor getting ready for a film. You got to put yourself in that cage. When you're in that cage, you are that character. And then when you leave there, it's something completely different. But when I'm in that cage, bro, don't touch me. Don't talk to me. Just leave me alone.
How did you get mentally and emotionally so strong where it doesn't bother you?
Well, you got to look at the reality of the situation. Like for me, it's not, you kind of got to get over yourself.
One of the things that keeps us from doing things is we're afraid of getting embarrassed. We're afraid of what other people will think. And Kobe's point is, you know what? You're not that important. Don't worry about what other people think of you because they're probably not thinking of you. And don't worry about it anyway because it doesn't matter.
It's not about you, man. Like, okay, you feel embarrassed. You're not that important. Like, get over yourself.
That's where you go.
Get over yourself. Right? Like you're worried about how people may perceive you and like you're walking around and it's embarrassing because you shot 5 air balls. Get over yourself. Right?
Once you get over that point, you can look at, see, when you had difficulty, when you had challenges, when something was embarrassing, what was it that went wrong?
Right? And then after that, it's okay, well, why did those air balls happen? Got it. High school, year before, we played 35 games, max, right? Week in between, spaced out. Plenty of time to rest. In the NBA, it's back to back to back to back to back to back to back. I didn't have the legs. So you look at the shot, every shot was online. Every shot was online, but every shot was short. Right? I got to get stronger. I got to train differently. The weight training program that I'm doing, I got to tailor it for an 82-game season.
So he found out what wasn't working right, how to fix that so it would work.
So that when the playoffs come around, my legs are stronger and that ball gets there. So I look at it with rationale and say, okay, well, the reason why I shot air balls is because my legs aren't there. I go, well, next year they'll be there. That was it.
Done. Were there some names that you looked at and says, these 3 guys are as crazy as I am?
I at the time, I deal with what I've referred to as Goat Mountain. I went to Goat Mountain and I talked to Magic, Michael, Bird, Hakeem Olajuwon, Jerry West, Oscar Robinson, Bill Russell. So I would talk to them. What did you do? What were your experiences? Michael in particular, he's become my big brother. He's been my big brother since I first came in the league. And what was that process like? So I went to them and started understanding the ins and outs of the game and how they approach things and their level of detail and obsessiveness, and that's what I did.
Same determination. What's your current work schedule look like today?
It's different because I personally am not writing every word of the novels. I am not animating the films. What I have to do now is make sure that the people that we bring in, these obsessives that we bring in.
He refers to the people he works with as these obsessives. He wants to surround himself with people that are obsessed with perfection, as obsessed with what they do as he is obsessed with what he does. The people that he relates to, that he throughout his career, he's had a trainer that he worked with throughout his MBA career, that she was obsessed with what she does. He trusts people that are obsessed. Are you obsessed with what you do?
Are challenging themselves to do the best job that they think they can do. That's what I'm there for, is for them to constantly look in the mirror and self-assess and challenge themselves.
Are you challenging yourself?
If we have a project and you're saying, okay, I can do that, that's not the project we want.
Look at the look on his face. He's surprised. If you're looking at a project and say, I can do that, that's not the project we want for you. And he's shocked. Well, why?
The projects that say, I don't know if I can animate that. I don't know how to write that story. I don't know how to do that. Those are the things we want, because through that curiosity, you'll reach a level that you didn't think was possible.
Through that curiosity, you will reach a level that you didn't think was possible. That is, I think, one of the most important things you can take away from today's workshop. Grow your curiosity. And through that curiosity, you will do what you need to do. And you will grow to levels that you didn't think possible.
And so running the studio, that's what I'm doing.
You're playing against the Golden State Warriors. Score is 107-109. You guys are close to getting into the playoffs. You know exactly what happens in the game. You go up, you're about to take your shot, and then all of a sudden, boom, Achilles happens, right? He went and hit the free throws, and then you walked off the stage.
Yeah.
He had a ruptured Achilles tendon, completely detached. And he shot free throws, made them, and walked off the court.
And you got the surgery done.
When I went in the trainer's room, my kids are in there, and they're looking at you and stuff, and I'm looking at them, and I'm like, it's all right. Dad's gonna be all right. It'll be fine. It'll be all right. It'll be all right. It'll be all right. As a parent, you gotta set the example. You gotta set the example. This is another obstacle. This obstacle cannot define me. It's not going to cripple me. It's not going to be responsible for me stepping away for the game that I love. I'm going to step away on my own terms. And that's when the decision was made that, you know what? I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
You're a freaking beast,
Yeah.
There are going to be things throughout your career that are going to impact you. But how are you going to react to those? How are you going to let them control you, or how are you going to manage those so that you do your career on your terms? There's a lot of people that when this pandemic hit, they're in a panic. They don't know what to do. They're letting the pandemic control what's going on in their career. What are you going to do to control your career trajectory, and your career success? And like Nike says, just do it. The slam dunk. That's it for today. Thank you for your patience and staying on. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Greg. All right, everyone. That concludes our workshop for today. I'll send out an email for everyone to, if you haven't, please connect with Greg. Otherwise, have a good rest of your day. Email him if you have any questions. I'm sure that he would be more than happy to answer.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.